been a while since I've put food in buckets, so I'm trying to get back to it. And today we're kind of doing a very unusual food. Salt. Now, this is a necessary nutrient. You know, when we're working out, we sweat, salt comes out. It's something your body's going to need, especially if you're working outside in Texas. So, I'm setting some of this aside. And this is also one of those nutrients that I can't grow in the garden. What I found for figuring out how much salt to store is kind of some interesting math. Worth mentioning, these cost 64 cents each for a 2-pound, 10-ounce container of salt, iodized salt. Iodine's another important nutrient. You'll start having brain issues without it. While you will get some of it naturally through your food, most of the world doesn't eat a diet that provides enough iodine without having iodine added to your salt. So I just got iodized salt. The amount of iodine in one of these things is not enough to change the volume of salt according to the nutritional label between the iodized and non-iodized salt. Now, the average American eats 3,400 milligrams of salt per day. The FDA says you should have a max of 2,300. Some UN organization that I don't remember while I'm recording the video says you should have a max of 2,000. And the American Heart Association says you should take in a max of 1,500. So you have a very wide range of how much salt per day you should have. What I found, if I put those in a 5-gallon bucket, I can keep 7 in each layer, and it's 2 layers deep. Let's play with the camera. Here we go. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 containers of salt, and as you can see, it's 2 layers deep with 7, so I've got 14. Now, you could take this out, the salt out of the package containers to get more in there, and clearly there's a lot of airspace in this. There's not quite enough room to put them sideways. That sticks out slightly. If I do that, you might be able to get away with like a sideways one in the middle and your lid won't be flat. But at the moment I've got 14 of those containers of salt in here, which if I go back to the math, that bucket, according to the American Heart Association, is enough salt to last one person for 18.8 years. So I'm recording this in 2023 plus 18.8 years. That's enough salt that if I don't eat any other salt in my diet, this will last me until I'm almost 60. Now, granted, there's 2 people in this house, so it'll last till I'm almost 50. Either way, I think I'm probably good for salt. And if you use the average American salt intake, that bucket is an 8.3 years of salt. And then you divide it by 2 people, because I'm here with my wife. So that's 9 years of salt. One thing you want to do, just in general, is use different colored buckets. Like, I've got all of my rice in white buckets, so I can look at a bucket from across the room and I know, hey, that's a rice bucket. I have all of my beans in blue buckets. Conveniently, you can get white buckets from Tractor Supply. You can get blue buckets from Lowe's. And now that I'm putting a bucket of salt together, I'm using a Home Depot bucket to make it orange. So I know the orange bucket is all of my salt. Now, I've got a gasket lid. And I'd recommend this for salt. If your salt gets wet, it's just going to form one solid clump of salt, and you're going to be chipping away at it later. But this basically sets aside, depending on whose numbers you want, 5 to 10 years worth of salt. Quite a bit. And I should actually seal this. So there you go, putting salt in buckets.